about that again. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Today we're here because of the TryHackMe Advent of Cyber 2025 event. You did actually do walkthroughs for them. How was your experience doing it?
It was really fun. I've never done anything like that. I've never done a walkthrough for anything. So it was a very fun experience, and especially getting to do two different ones. It was really fun. I got to learn new things. I will be honest with you. The second day, I was a little nervous because I've never done anything with the race conditions. So I was really happy. I enjoyed it a lot.
And one of the walkthroughs we did was about phishing, and that's a really common scam on people. And because one of the walkthrough you did was phishing, and that's a very common scam, people actually fall for that sometimes. Do you have any personal experience with that? Any family member, any friend who had been a victim of phishing?
Yes, for sure. I have a lot of family that they speak a lot of Spanish, and sometimes, especially when it comes to, Facebook or any type of social media, whenever communications are sent in English or another language, sometimes they get a little bit confused and they fall a little bit more for these types of scams, especially for phishing. I feel like a lot of them, the language barrier or the language difference makes it so that they're very prone to phishing. So yes, I have had a couple of family members that have been like, "Hey, I think I was pissed," or "I think someone just hacked me." I have had a couple of those experiences.
So, do you think that people, after getting scammed by phishing or being a victim of phishing, do they get more conscious about it for future?
Yes, I had a one friend or one of my mom's friends. She's like, "Paola, I think someone hacked me," and so I helped her get two-factor authentication on her phone, and she's a little bit more cautious on what to click on, and she tells all her friends as well. She's like, "Hey, like don't click on those type of things. Like you might get hacked just like me."
Yeah, and that is actually a very common thing during this. And yeah, this is actually really common, especially in the holiday season. There are a lot of messages going around. Hey, here's a gift card for you. Here's a gift. Click on this link and get this reward and blah blah blah. So, did you ever get such holiday voucher or gift card messages about fishing and things like that?
I personally haven't, but the closest person that I did have was my mom. I believe one of my one of our family members, they sent my mom a link and she's like, "Paula, is this real? Is this real?" This is like during like the Christmas season, like get free rewards or get free gifts. Um, she did get that email, but me personally, I mean, I feel like I do a pretty good job of recognizing if it's phishing and stuff. And I my stuff mostly goes to spam. So I haven't really experienced that. But yeah, my mom did during that Christmas season.
So, as you mentioned that the race condition walkthrough was a little difficult for you because you haven't done anything like that before. So,
Mhm.
how did you manage to get that done and create a walkthrough for them?
Hmm. So TryHackMe does like a really awesome job of like providing the instructions. So alongside walking through the instructions, I also did a little bit of research on my own as well. I went on YouTube, on Google, and I learned a little bit more about race conditions. I won't lie to you, I also I use a little bit of like artificial intelligence or AI to also help me by creating like easy to easy to read and easy to learn little walkthrough and vocab list for me. So with the combination of TryHackMe's awesome, walkthrough instructions, Google, YouTube, and a little bit of AI, I was able to do that.
Mm. So, when it comes to learning a new concept or a new topic, what do you prefer? Reading, writing, like reading or watching a YouTube video or going
Mm.
to ChatGPT?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. Recently, it's been ChatGPT. Whenever I have a question, I know I shouldn't do it. I know that you should, do more intensive research. But just for those quick questions, I just kind of go in there. Obviously, if something sounds a little odd to me, or if something sounds a little weird, like I'll go into Google and I'll do my research. But for learning new concepts, especially stuff that, especially stuff that I might know a little bit about, I go to ChatGPT. Because if I already have a little bit of knowledge about it, I go in there, and if I recognize that it sounds a little different than what I've learned, I go and do something else. But I would say first is ChatGPT, or artificial intelligence, and then my second top option is watching YouTube or watching videos.
So, when it comes to using AI and taking answers from that, even when today we search for something on Google, the first result was we get is from Google AI Gemini. So, why do you prefer ChatGPT over Gemini?
Mm, I guess I love the fact that ChatGPT, especially if you have an account, it saves like all your history. So whenever I'm like, I remember I like what did I ask last time? The cool thing about ChatGPT, I feel, is that it saves all your responses, and you're able to go through your history and see what you asked and see what it responded. I much prefer that over Gemini, but I mean I'd use them both.
Yeah, so you prefer ChatGPT because it says you chat. Okay. So coming back to the TryHackMe walkthroughs, you actually did two of them.
Mm,
So what was the case with that? Did you ask them that I want to do two walkthroughs, or they asked you to do the second one? What was the case here?
mhm. So the case was they asked me, they're like, hey, we have another day available. Um, they're like, hey, would you be down to doing it? I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. I guess I don't know. I was really happy about that. I was kind of like, I don't know. I kid you not, like the time that they asked me, I was like, because making that one video, it took me like a hot minute. It took me a while for me to do it. So getting to do another one, and especially in a shorter time frame, I didn't have like the 12 days to, prepare for it. Like I only had like a time limit of like 3 days. So that editing and all that sort of stuff, I was like, oh my goodness, this is the first time that, I've been put on such like a short like timeline for like a creating, editing, a video. But I was pretty happy.
So did you do all of the work by yourself? Of course, you recorded by yourself, but you edited the video by yourself.
Yeah, so yeah, I did I recorded the video and I edited it, and I had so many problems with my editor, the editing software that I had. I was using something online, and it was just lagging, and it was just so bad. So I moved into something that was open source. I moved into that, and then every problem that I had just went away. It was so much easier.
Yeah, it is very difficult when it comes to using a new software, especially editing that you haven't done any before.
Mhm.
So if we talk about when it comes to cybersecurity and being in this field, what was your journey in it, and how did you got introduced to it, and how did you got your interest in it?
Mhm. So it started when I was a little girl. I really loved computers and everything about it. It was just really fun. But when I went into high school, they had a cybersecurity program here at my local high school. And so I enrolled. I didn't really know anything about cybersecurity. All I knew is that there were hackers and, computers, and it just looked really, really cool. So I signed up. And so since high school, since I was like 14, I started learning about cybersecurity, just the basics, just what is a virus, what's a Trojan, all that stuff. And then after high school, I moved into community college, and I got my degree in cybersecurity, with a focus in digital forensics. It was really fun. I got to explore and see their cybersecurity, their women and their WESIS chapter at the community college. So their women in cybersecurity club, and I got to experience a little bit about that. And then I decided that I wanted to, continue that. So I transferred over, and now I'm going for my bachelor's in network engineering and security.
Yeah, talking about your bachelor's, it is 2025 to 2027, and it's been 6 months, and you're almost done with it. How did you manage to cover all of that in such a short time?
Mm. So the really cool thing is I'm going to WGU, and that's a university that we have here in the US, and it's competency based, which just means instead of going to classes and instead of like, going in person and sitting down and, completing homework, if you already know the stuff, you can take the exams or you can complete the big task or like a paper and for that class. And if you pass it, then you're done with that class. So instead of like regular school that you sit down for a whole semester and you can only take like 4 or 5 classes, WGU just lets you take as many as you know, as many classes as you can. So if you already know the information, you can just test out. And because, like I said, I went to community college and there they taught me a lot of the stuff. So I already knew some of the stuff. So I just took the exams and I was able to pass those classes. So that's why I was able to get it done really quick. I'm so excited about that, by the way. It makes me happy.
Yeah, and
I hope to finish soon.
are you done with your exam yet or not?
No, girl. I finished my capstone. The capstone was stressing me out. I was like, oh, it's stressing me out so much. But I have one more class, and that class has two parts. So I haven't finished any of the parts yet. I have to work on them. Oh, but it's just been so complicated. It's just, I'm still working on it. So hopefully soon.
Okay, so you are doing quite a lot things. You're doing your degree, and then you have your part-time role as a guest teacher, and you're volunteering, and all the events. You also got a recent award for what was that? Community hero. Yeah. So how are you managing all of that by yourself?
Oh, girl, well, I appreciate you first off for like looking into all of that. Like, I appreciate you taking the time for the research and stuff. Um, but to be honest, it's a lot, to be honest. There's times where like I feel like I don't really have a lot of time to myself. I feel like I go to work and then I come back, I'm working on school and then I'm over here organizing for other events and all that sort of stuff. But what helps me a lot is I have a calendar on my wall. Hold on, let me see if I could show you. Um, okay. So here on my wall, I have like a calendar of like the things that I'm doing. So you can see here like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and all that sort of stuff. So what I do is like whenever I know that I have an event going on, I just write it down. I'm like, oh, okay, I have this event at this time. Like for example, the meeting that we had today, I have it up there on the board. I was like, 7:30 p.m. So that's one of the things that I do. I wish more people had like whiteboards. Like if I could like start a company and if I could like if there's one thing that I would like promote the most would probably be whiteboards because they're so useful. So yeah, I write all my stuff there.
So it is very useful when it comes to having a calendar, especially in front of your eyes all the time,
Mm,
because people usually use Google Calendar and you
Google
have to
Calendar.
open that, see all the events you have in there, but you have one in your room on your wall in front
Mm,
of your eyes all the time. So it is easy to remember. So tell us a little about your award that you got, the Cyber Community Hero by Cyroot Academy.
mm, mm.
What's the story behind that?
So Cyber is a cybersecurity nonprofit that we have here in Las Vegas. Her name is Vox. Vox is amazing. She's done a lot for the community, and essentially her nonprofit is dedicated to providing cybersecurity resources, scholarships for minorities, veterans, here in the Las Vegas, Nevada area. And so initially when Vox was starting off her nonprofit, I just kind of hopped on. I was like, "Hey, do you guys need help with anything?" And so I started just by making flyers for like their first boot camps because they didn't have anyone to make those little flyers. So I was like, "Hey, I have experience with Canva. I know how to make flyers, even if it's pretty simple." I was like, "I'll help you guys make a flyer." So they're like, "Yeah." They gave me the information. I started making a couple of flyers. So yeah, I helped out just a little bit with the initial stuff that was there. But afterwards, I've just kind of I've gone to like a couple of their events, and Vox, she's amazing, and she's recognized that these couple of months I've been working on something a little bit separate, which is like the Sim Las Vegas or the Sim Nevada Aspiring Leaders Group. And so it's just kind of dedicated to providing resources for those students and IT professionals, early career professionals that are here in the Las Vegas area. I recognize that there's a couple of networking events here in Las Vegas, but there's really nothing for like students and like those that are just starting their careers in tech. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we make a group? We can all get together. People from all different universities, different groups, can just kind of come in together, just network and all that sort of stuff. So she gave me that recognition, that award, because she recognizes that, I've been, helping out a little bit, even if it's separately. I've been helping out with the students and the youth that's here in Las Vegas.
So you mentioned your experience with Canva. Did you learn Canva as a part of your journey of exploring what you want to do in the future as a career?
Yes, definitely. I use Canva like I kid you not, probably like I would say every day of my life. Whether it's making flyers for my work, whether it's for my organizations, whether I want to make like cool little labels for my, hold on, I have like making labels for my bins. Like I kid you not,
A
I made
lot.
this on Canva. I was like, I'm gonna put all my stuff that's for scrapbooking here. I have other bins over there that's like my wires, all my tech stuff, my paint supplies. I use Canva for everything. So definitely I would say that I take advantage of all the technology I have and I use it for, my daily life.
Yeah, and when it comes to helping students, guiding them through networking and how can they utilize their work, you have been working on it with Cyroot, and I have picked it from your LinkedIn about section that you aspire to be a cybersecurity educator, and you're also fulfilling that role in your guest teaching role at CCSD. So how has it been going? How's the experience with the students? What's the biggest challenge they face?
Mm. So I started the role like probably this is my second year as a substitute teacher, as a guest teacher. And I've seen so many things. I tell people like I'm being in education, you see like everything. It's kind of like customer service, but like 100% like harder because it's like kids, it's students that, it's kids that come from all types of different backgrounds, and some kids are energetic, some kids are like, a little bit more like calm. You have some kids that are older, you have younger kids. So I have dealt with everything from pre-K all the way to high school. So the biggest challenge for me would probably be um just managing a class of like 40 kids. One time I had a cover for a teacher and it was a choir class and I had like 40 kids in that one class and there were no chairs so the kids were just walking around and they were just like having fun and it was such a crazy experience. Because sometimes kids just don't listen to you, students just don't listen to you, especially when you're more on the younger side. They kind of view you as just kind of like, oh, they don't really see you as like a teacher. So like I have to tell these kids like everyone like please can we go ahead take a seat and no one's listening. It's so chaotic sometimes, but I love it. I There are days when it's when I'm dealing with maybe with middle schoolers or like elementary school kids, they're just so crazy. I'm just kind of like oh. And I tell the kids too, I'm like you guys are being a little bit too crazy right now. Like let's relax. Let's take a seat. But yeah, definitely the biggest challenge is managing a bunch of kids. Um. And when there's no lesson plans, when teachers, when they call out sick or maybe it's an emergency, they don't leave anything. So you kind of have to come up with something on the spot. But I feel like that's the type of skill that I'll definitely like be bringing into cybersecurity. I know like definitely working on the spot and coming up with solutions, you know, like that is really crucial and important in cybersecurity. So I feel like, even though like I struggle sometimes, I'm like, you know what? In the end, like I'll be able to use these skills in the field that I want to work into.
So, as you mentioned, it is crazy some days. So, how do you manage those days? How do you get those students to follow your instructions?
Mm. So typically, hold on, let me bring it out real quick. Typically, now this used to be a lot more full, but one of the things that I love to do, and something that I've learned is positive reinforcement, which just means if you instead of like yelling at someone and being aggressive or getting angry at someone, instead you should notice like the good things that they bring. And one of the things I do is whenever I see like good things or whenever I see that, children are behaving or students are doing a good job, I give them stickers. So that's one of the things that I do to solve those challenges. If I see a student that's sitting down, I'm like, hey, good job. I give them a sticker and suddenly everyone sits down because they all want a sticker. So that's kind of one of the things that I do to solve that challenge. And it used to be more full, but for now it's just a little empty. But it says here, please feel free to take a sticker.
So, kids love stickers, so it is easy to bribe them with a sticker so that they can follow what you're saying.
Hmm.
So, with all these experience with the kids, do you want to continue doing it or will you switch it? Of course, it is a part-time job, What is the long-term motive for your future? What are you gonna do?
Mm, I wanna one day become like a cybersecurity instructor. But maybe more for the high school level. Sort of like the teacher that I had when I was in high school. But for right now, at least when it comes to working here at CCSD or working here in Nevada, you have to have you have to get your license for that. And you have to have, if you want to be a cybersecurity teacher, you have to have at least like 2 years of like cybersecurity like experience in the job market, like out in the industry. So my job, at least what I want to do right now is after I get my degree, I want to go out there and get those 2 years of experience or more, and then just come back and become an instructor.
So long-term goal is teaching, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to taking that 2 years or more of experience, how do you plan to do that? Like you're fresh graduates and with the current job market, of course you have a lot that you have done. You have volunteer experience, you have awards, you have experience like, as well. Of course, that is not full time, but that you have that on paper. So what is going to be your approach to job hunting?
Mm, so I've been trying the job hunting for a little bit right now, especially because now I'm approaching like the end of my degree. But one of the approaches that I've kind of been taking is just tweaking my resume for most of the jobs that I apply to. So if I know that if I'm applying more for like a technical trainer type of role, I know that I'm gonna adapt it and, highlight more of my guest teacher experience. If I know that I'm gonna be applying more for like a SOC role, I'll make sure to highlight like those projects that I've worked on, those labs that I've completed either through TryHackMe or other things. Highlight those certifications that I have. That's kind of what I've been doing on the job hunting like experience. Just kind of tweaking those resumes and making sure that they, align with what they're looking for instead of applying with just a general resume.
So as you're already applying for job, how long have you been applying for the jobs and how's the experience going with that? Do you get any response back from companies? How is it going?
Hmm. So a couple months ago, I was like, you know what? Over the summer, maybe I could apply for an internship somewhere, like more of a technical cybersecurity role. And I did have something that was, I got it, I got an offer. No, I got an interview. I got an offer for the interview with the company, and the interview was pretty good. But there were times where I was like, you know what? Like, just based on like I don't want to say based on the questions that they were asking, but just based on the way that the interview went, I just didn't really feel like I was going to be a good fit for the company. So, they offered me a second round of interviews, but I'll be honest with you, because of some experiences that I had, especially during the interviewing process, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'll be like a good fit. So I didn't go through with that. But I've been applying to other internships, and it hasn't been going as well. I won't lie to you. It's it's a little tricky. I'm just kind of used to rejection. I think the best thing that you can do is apply, and if they say no, then that's okay. There's other opportunities out there for someone, and I'm a firm believer that like, if it's for you, it'll be meant to be, and if it's not for you, then that's fine. Like, there's a reason why it didn't happen.
So, what platform do you use to apply for jobs? Do you use LinkedIn jobs, Indeed? What platform do you use?
Hmm. I typically use LinkedIn jobs, but there are times when they take you to the external website. So like every single time that I apply, they like send you to a different portal and you have to make a new account for them. But I've been mainly using LinkedIn.
So, with LinkedIn, there are options for easy apply for some jobs.
Hmm.
What do you think of that option? Like easy apply is better one, or you have to. Sometimes it redirects you to the career page of the website company. So, what do you think is more effective? From what option do you get more responses?
Mm. So for that one place where I told you that I got an interview at, I actually did it through their easy apply through LinkedIn. So that's like the only one that I've applied through the easy apply on LinkedIn, and that was the only one that got a response through. So maybe there's a correlation there, maybe there's a connection there. But I'd say yeah, that easy apply, it definitely makes life easier. It automatically just grabs your profile. And sometimes you do need to fill in some details, such as like, hey, um, are you from the US, or what location are you applying to? Occasionally they'll have some questions. But apart from that, like I'm not spending like 20 minutes on an application. So it makes it easier for sure.
So for LinkedIn jobs, sometimes there are profile listed on the job that you can contact for like reference or internal networking. Do you use that feature? Like, do you contact those people?
Mm, I I have, I guess, like a couple of times. I have like directly messaged the people, especially when they're like, "Hey, like this person studied at the school that you studied to." I'm like, "Oh, that's a good connection." I could be like, "Hey, girl, like I went to the same school as you. Like you should give me that job." No, I'm playing. I don't say that, but seeing that someone comes from the same school or maybe from a similar, background as you definitely can build that connection. And I'm a firm believer that connections are definitely like really important, especially when you're going, job hunting, because those are the people that I feel put your resume on top. And, it's more, I have a feeling that you're more likely to, have your resume reviewed if, someone from there's like, hey, like, this person's pretty good. If you got like a referral, I think that definitely puts your application a little bit up there.
So when you go for job hunting, of course you watch guides on how to get a job or how to kind of optimize the process. So
Mm,
there is a tip I have picked up from my YouTube channel. It is like you do not go for jobs, you pick up a list of companies that you want to work for, and then you network with the people working there. Do you do
mm.
that?
No, girl. But I should do that though. Thank you for the tip. I'm gonna take that.
So it is like you take a list of the companies and see what who are working there and what common point you can find in them. Just like you said, the same school we went to. So you find a common point and then you contact them that this you share your resume and they can contact you back if they have a similar opportunity for your experience. So I recently had that and I thought that it is a good advice. It can be useful for other people. So do you network generally, like when you see someone posted a job opportunity, but it is an old post, like the hiring process is done, do you still contact them and share your CV, like this is this and this is my goal, and you can contact me if there is any alignment in future?
Hmm. Yeah, I have done that. I feel like mainly, at least for me, it's kind of been more of like a cold email, like those cold responses that you send to some of those companies. I definitely feel like I'm like, hey, like if you have any opportunities, just feel free to reach out to me. There have been times when, if my application gets, oh, like unfortunately we're not able to like offer you this opportunity. I do try my best to kind of send it out and be like, hey, just like feel free to let me know if there's anything that comes up in the future, just like let me know. I'd be super happy to apply. I have done that for sure.
So as you are a student as well, you are a fresh graduate, there are other students who are in the job market suffering from it because they cannot get a response from the company. They are having difficulties in job hunting. Of course, you are also going through the process, but what you have learned in this process, what would you advise to the students to do in their job hunting process?
Hmm. In your job hunting process, for sure, make sure to tailor. One of the things that I'm a firm believer is to tailor and make your resume like I want to say like custom to every application that you put in. Because unfortunately, if you have just one general resume, it'll be good, but sometimes companies just won't really look at it if you don't highlight certain aspects of it. Like for example, like I was telling you a little bit earlier, like especially if you're like if I'm applying for like a technical trainer program, I think it'll be very important to, highlight my my education experience. But if I'm applying more for like a stock analyst, um like role, like that education part won't really matter as much. Like they won't like obviously there may be times when those skills are needed, but it's more important to highlight certain things. So one thing that I'd really recommend is using AI. I'm a firm believer of AI. Using AI maybe to tailor your resume, make it highlight certain projects, make it highlight certain educational experiences, maybe make it highlight more some certain work experiences, and make it custom to every job role that you have. AI's best friend here. You don't have to do it manually. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna remove this. With AI, you can pretty much do it with like a click of a button. So.
So how do you use the AI for? Like you put in your CV, all the experience, and then the job description, and then you ask the AI to tailor your resume. Is that right?
You could do that, but I know that um there's this really cool website called Simplify, like Simplify, and it's really awesome because you can make your CV and your resume in there, and then every time that you want to apply for a certain role, you can like copy make it's like it lets you duplicate that resume and it lets you edit it. And the really cool thing is they also have a feature where you can it's like an extension on your computer and it auto fills out like every application that you are applying to. So let's say you apply for a role, it's on LinkedIn, but it's an external, company website or careers page. If you apply, if the Simplify extension has your resume and has all your details, it fills in all the details on the careers page for you. So it makes it so much easier and it highlights certain keywords that they're looking for. And it like tells you, hey, these are the keywords. You should definitely add these to your resume. And, you can manually go into your resume, edit it, and, with that duplicate of your resume, you can upload that into the careers page. And it makes the process so much easier. So I definitely recommend that.
So apart from that, when it comes to job hunting, this is also a tip from YouTube that if you're fresh graduates, you can remove your graduation year from the CV because the person who is getting your CV may not move you forward thinking that this person is a fresh graduate and may not be suitable for the job. So you just remove your graduation year and put in the CV. Maybe you will get a call back. What do you think about that?
No, I was thinking about that. Just like, I kid you not, girl, just yesterday. I was like, on my resume, I I put in like the graduation date for like my associates, but I haven't put any dates for like my bachelor's degree yet. But I'm thinking of like not putting any of that graduation year on there for my bachelor's. And I was like, maybe I should do the same thing with my associates because I have heard that you are right. I have heard that a lot of people are like, hey, you shouldn't put the dates. And definitely sometimes, like as a fresh graduate or maybe as a younger person, I feel like sometimes I don't want to say we aren't taken seriously. But if they're like, oh, this person's like fresh off of like school, they don't really have the experience we're looking for. You can remove that just by taking off the dates. I think I
So,
agree. I definitely would do it.
so you don't do it, you would do it, right?
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it now. Now that you told me, girl.
Okay. I wanted to ask this question specifically. As yeah, I mentioned earlier that you have a lot going on. You have your degree, you have your job, you have been volunteering, and all the other events. How do you manage your timetable that apart from that whiteboard thing? Because of course you have 24 hours in the day and limited time, limited capabilities. How do you do that?
Mm, I would definitely say, I mean, yeah, aside from the whiteboard, I would say that I'm I try my best to respect the time that I'm given. Like for example, if I feel really bad by the way for joining the meeting and not checking my microphone. I joined a couple minutes earlier too because I was
No
like I have to
problem.
be early. I have to be early. Because that's kind of what I grew up with that. My dad, he's always like, "Hey, you have to be early. You have to be early to everything." So I definitely say like respecting time. Like if I have a meeting at this time, I'm gonna appear, a couple minutes before. Respecting that time. I try not to be late to things. I try to do that so I can, fit in as much as I can and make use of the time that I'm given. Because like you said, we only got 24 hours in a day. It's a pretty limited amount of time. So I'm like, you know what? I'll schedule it and then definitely keep track of my time. If I see that it's, approaching a meeting time, I'm definitely gonna be like, hey, like I gotta I gotta set aside everything that I'm doing right now and focus on this. So it'd definitely be, respecting the time and also making sure that my full focus is on something.
So with that. let's wrap up because I have a lot to talk about, but we are short on time. The meeting time is kind of running out. So,
Mm,
the last question is that what would be your advice to a student who is starting to learn cybersecurity, who is developing the interest in this field? What will be your one advice or your one suggestion to them?
mm. So I would say there's a space in cybersecurity for everyone. I typically say this all the time. Like, don't ever be afraid, regardless of where you are in your life, whether you're younger, maybe you're older. The cool thing about tech and cybersecurity is that there's a space for everyone. I said this previously to this awesome lady named Kathy, and she was asking me a similar question. She's like, "Hey, like, what would happen if someone, maybe an auntie or maybe someone, a family member, wants to be in cybersecurity and just starting out, or maybe there's someone that, is interested but doesn't know that much." What the thing that I tell them for sure is like, hey, there's a seat for you, like right here. Feel free, take a seat. You're here to learn. And, there's gonna be people out there to support you. So definitely don't be afraid to take those risks and learn as much as you can because there's a space for everyone in cyber.
So, with that, thank you so much for your time and that advice. Of course, when people, especially when they're switching their careers mid-age or having initial few years working in one field and then getting into another, they do feel left out because they are not that much high in the knowledge. They're just starting out. So this is the advice for them, especially useful for them because they are the one who feel left out. Students who they are freshers, they know they have to get into one field and they will feel that initial feeling everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for that advice. Thank you so much for your time and doing this talk with me today. And with that, let's wrap up. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Well, thank you, Guy. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for everything that you did. The research, awesome questions. I loved interviewing with you, girl.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, have a good one, okay?
You too.
Bye.
Bye.